It was supposed to be the first of the two presidential debates by the Debates Kenya Limited. But even after the media and other stakeholders made sure all was well and ready, the candidates failed to show up, save for one Muthiora Karriera, the running mate of Dr. Kavinga Kaluyu. In the absence of his rivals, Karriera had 90 minutes to respond to questions from hosts and also the audience. Now, it was in order for the candidates to snub the debates, and was it in order, rather, for the candidates to snub this debate? In studio, I have Dagoretti North Member of Parliament Simba Arati and Third Way Alliance Deputy Chair Eugene Andabwa to drive this conversation on the political point. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us in studio. Let's begin with that very question, Arati. Was it in order for the leaders to snub this debate, both NASA, Jubilee, as well as other independent candidates?
I think it was not good. Not good enough for the leaders to have, absconded that bad. But then we need to really understand why. Because there was a big joke from our brothers from Jubilee that Honorable William Ruto was to send Honorable Ichung'wah to represent him. Therefore, they had already, watered down the whole debate into a parliamentary business when you're bringing in the likes of Ichung'wah. Therefore, it's unfortunate. But then I think that was the founding reason why NASA opted not to send
a candidate. Was it, in your view, enough reason for NASA not to attend because the Deputy President was not attending? And the Deputy President, on his part, gave a reason and said he was busy with campaigns of the coastal region. What was NASA's reason? But
my sister, who is not busy? Every person is busy. We are busy. Kalonzo is busy moving around in the country. Therefore, the reason actually they were giving is that they are fearing, what you've been repeatedly saying of the failures of Jubilee. They would not tell Kenyans what they have.
Right.
You saw the president earlier. There was indication that he was not to appear because they have no agenda to tell the Kenyans. Therefore, subsequently, we have confirmed.
Initially, though, Raila Odinga was also not to appear in the debate. To be fair.
Precisely, if the...
Is that because he has no agenda to tell Kenyans?
No. The Kenyans, of course, we have the agenda, and we have been repeatedly putting it across to Kenyans that yes, this system is failed. We have this. We have launched our manifesto, which is relatively as a reason for us to come to those debates.
Right.
But then later on, Honorable Raila Odinga said he was to appear. But this one is unfortunate that all these candidates, they didn't appear.
So let's focus on the debate. And I just want to bring Andabo in for a moment. So you are the running mate, the Secretary General to the Third Way Alliance Party, which is...
the Deputy Chairman.
Deputy Chair, rather, which is... run by Ekuru Okot, who is the flag bearer. Now, Emmanuel Nzai is the running mate of the Third Way Alliance Party. He was supposed to show up at the debate at 5:30. Instead, we had Ekuru Okot, Emmanuel Nzai, show up with other independent candidates for the 8 p.m. slot. Why is that?
Actually, you're getting it all so wrong. Emmanuel Nzai got to Catholic University by about 4:30, and Ekuru Okot joined him later. Now, there's a difference between snubbing the whole thing, because, you see, all the independent candidates and other aspirants were there. They didn't snub the event. But it was really a question of how do we really legitimize the kind of bias that was being exposed by the media?
What kind of bias was that you were talking about?
When you talk of the two-tier approach to the debate, Article 137 of the Constitution is very clear. It talks of who meets the criteria of being a presidential candidate.
Right.
8 persons were cleared. At this point, on the playing field, they are the same. Okay? Now, this conversation didn't start yesterday. It's something that has gone on for over 2 months, where there's been back and forth between Third Way Alliance, of course, took lead in getting this matter to Debates Kenya Limited. And we raised the matter and said, the media so far has had this narrative of Jubilee and NASA as the bigger candidates, as the bigger boys. and relegating any other person to that field. Now, there's a point where if we let Jubilee and NASA, the media carry on this conversation of Jubilee and NASA to the debates, it's basically legitimizing that kind of discrimination. These are more equal than the others. What is the big deal? Why can't we just have all the candidates on the podium? And we
now, let's focus on the fact that according to the Debates Media Limited, those 8 candidates were too many to have on a platform for 90 minutes, because that would give each candidate a very short time to express their themselves and their manifesto as well. But let's also focus on the fact that Abdube Dida, who is also a presidential candidate, had moved to court over the same issue of discrimination. But the court's ruling maintained the debate would go with the initial format, saying that there was really no discrimination in the manner that this was being handled. That was the decision of the court. Doesn't Third Way Alliance feel that they might have lost out on an important opportunity, so to speak, after they did not show up for that debate?
There's one thing about losing out. Really, this is an opportunity that anybody can see. It is a platform to reach out to the masses. Do you think all these candidates didn't have a rationale for a justification for the decision they did? Mm-hmm. They did. Whoever appeared there, the Mariora fellow, I mean, the communication, I'm sure you must have seen it on social media. It was all agreed by everybody that, and it was signed, including himself, that if Media Kenya Limited didn't get into addressing our concerns, then would not be party to it. Mm-hmm. So basically what he did, and it's sad that Kenyans never get to understand and read between the lines. He's basically somebody who will not keep his word, because he has signed a statement. The signatures there, including his. Then he chooses to
do the same, but then this is politics and everybody's up for their own gains. Let's hear from you, Arati, in terms of the two-tier approach that was used and the grievances of the independent candidates, that we've created a two-horse narrative. Well, indeed, there is 8 presidential candidates. Did you support that decision to have a two-tier approach? And
in the first instance, let us agree that yes, NASA and Jubilee, they are big brothers here. Mm-hmm. We can't run away from it. There is no way. Let us, already people, they have made up their minds. Despite the fact, yes, they are going to come up in the discussions on the podium. Given that at the moment it's a two-race, activity here. Therefore, my brother Nabo, I want to tell you, yes, you guys independent, you'll be there. You want to?
No, we're not independent. We are Third Way Alliance.
That's okay. It's equally the same. There is no much that you'll make a change in the forthcoming elections. But then what happens is, yes, I want to agree with him to some extent. All these guys, they're the same. Be it Ruto, be it Kalonzo, all those gentlemen, they're the same. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we expect a fair platform for the 8 in number. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the only unfortunate thing is that
how fair a platform is it if you say that the NASA candidate will not come, if the Jubilee candidate does not come?
And in the first instance, I want to say, yes, it's wrong for both of those candidates not to have appeared. Mm-hmm. But then what happens is, this is where we need to mature up as a country. Mm-hmm. We need to educate people. These debates are important for purpose of moving forward. Mm-hmm. We want to continue the status quo.
Right.
And just to build up on that, in the very, very way that Arati rightfully puts it, that we need to educate our people so that we get away from the status quo, is the same way that our people then need to get to understand issue-based politics. Mm-hmm. So that this two-horse narrative is out. Mm-hmm. Like he says, we cannot dispute that we are the big brothers and all that. What is this narrative that is going to change this? It will only change when people start listening to the issues. And you see what? NASA and Jubilee as the big brothers, mm-hmm. I'm telling you the truth, they've just feared. Put their candidates on a platform with the rest of us. These guys have gibberish. Mm-hmm. They have nothing to offer.
All right.
Rhetoric. Mm-hmm. Empty promises. Really, in fact, the die is cast. It's just sad that Kenyans have not gotten to that point where they're reading issues.
Now, questions have been asked as to the political price, so whether there is any political price to pay really for snubbing this particular debate. In your view, Arati, is this a debate, a platform really that would add votes or subtract votes for any of the political parties?
There isn't. This is not a platform actually to add or to or minus. You know, what happens is already people, they have formed up their minds. I want to agree with him to some extent, but I want to affirm, it is our country. Where we are coming from, we are not at the level of the developed countries. Therefore, the truth will be told that indeed the cast already is cast. Therefore, the die, I mean, it's cast, and the things are the way they are. That is Jubilee versus NASA.
I mean, and Dabo doesn't seem to agree with that at all.
I really don't agree with this at all. In that case, then why would Debate Kenya Limited go on with this activity anyway, if it won't have any impact on the voting patterns? There are people, the diaspora out here. There are people, the diaspora vote. Some of those guys may not be closely following matters happening around, and they just want to listen to what entity A has to offer vis-a-vis entity B and make that decision. There are people out here who are not, they don't watch telly, they don't read newspapers. So this becomes an opportunity for you to say there is a political price to pay. But more than the political price to pay, we must also look at how do we, you know, these are candidates who are out there speaking of defending and protecting the Constitution. The Constitution has the Bill of Rights. It talks about, you know, discrimination and all that. Do you want the same people to be on the very platform that has formed this rigid two-tier approach that discriminates? I mean, that's basically legitimizing what they are saying, that they will not be promoting.
Right. So who are the biggest losers in this particular debate? A lot has been said about that. Was it the candidates, was it the Kenyans, or was it the media?
It all depends on the lens that you want to look at through. For the politician, an opportunity to reach out to the masses. That's a loss. For the Kenyan, really, and I feel for the Kenyan because it was an opportunity for them to finally learn that Jubilee and NASA have nothing to offer. They're just a waste of time.
Third Way Alliance was not there either.
That's what I'm saying. For the Kenyan, now I'm looking from the lens of the voter. The voter lost an opportunity to realize that Third Way Alliance has substance, that our manifesto is practical.
How did they realize that when you were not on the campaign, on the debate platform?
And that's why it is a loss to the voter. I'm explaining the loss to the voter.
All right.
Okay? Now, to the political parties, to us, including Third Way Alliance, of course, we've lost on the platform to reach the masses. So depending on the angle at which you approach the matter, we've all lost.
Right, right. And
I've not even shared about, say, the organizers. I'm really certain that the sponsors had their objectives, and those have not been met. And I think Debate Kenya Limited needs to get back to the drawing board, review. Just as when you started, you said 8 would be too many on the platform. Those are things that they should have thought about before throwing this
on the board. Now, of course, there's another debate for the presidential candidates. That is on the 24th. We'll be focusing on what all the parties would like to see changing from the Debate Kenya Limited. But let me finish with you, Arati, in terms of this running mates debate. Deputy President William Ruto was at the court. He had said that he would not attend this, but he instead sent Kikuyu Member of Parliament Imani Ishungwa. Now, there was a lot of criticism surrounding that, as whether a Member of Parliament could really articulate matters that a deputy president candidate would want to articulate for Kenyans. Your thoughts on that representation?
Other than my brother Ichungwa, whom I have a lot of respect for, other than the insult, which is known of, what do you expect him to bring on board in terms of discussion? Therefore, is little respect from the deputy president. The arrogance that is surrounding Jubilee, team. It's what was to be exhibited in the discussion. Therefore, I believe even most of the guys, when they saw the kind of the people, they just opted not to.
Right.
Therefore, the issue of the deputy president being at the coast is only 45 minutes fly from the coast to Nairobi and going back. And it was in the evening. Therefore, there was no good reason for him to tell us that he's sending a colleague from Parliament to come and present the Jubilee.
So let's focus on the fact that in this whole debate, Eliud Mubiora Kariara was basically the star of the show. So according to Andabwa, he is a traitor because he went against the agreement that you all had not to attend that debate at 5:30. But what are your thoughts about his performance?
I'm happy that you recognize that he's a traitor based on my... I think his performance was, and it's so sad that when I read through tweets, a lot of social media, there's a lot of praise and hype over his performance.
Yes, many times he was a very brave man.
Brevity on a debate. It just reminded me on, I think Julie Gishuru has some show where secondary school.
The Great Debate.
The Great Debate. That was the great debate at his level. When we talk presidency, really, and you call that a great show for a presidential debate, let's be serious.
But
let's be
what did you expect when you yourselves did not give him a candidate to debate with?
You said that we'll get to a point that we'll be discussing what we'd like to see in a subsequent debate. I think that will be better answered there. Because if I really share what Adu Alliance anticipated vis-a-vis his performance, I think we need to school him a little bit better. Right.
Arati, many are asking, who is this man, Mubiora Kariara? What did you make of his performance?
I don't want really to go the direction my brother. So the gentleman performed well because we didn't send anybody. Therefore, he's the one who was on the stage. He got the all marks that which were there. And let us credit where it deserves. That the gentleman made, despite the fact, yes, they agreed they were not to appear as an alliance. What happens is it's good that he did. And those are the bold steps individuals make. Despite the fact that, I want to just correct him, that yes, he has said there are two big brothers, whereas he cannot appear to disapprove the two big brothers in their deeds. Therefore, may I give him credit.
And I beg to correct, I said in a debate of his standard, he did well.
Do you say your candidate would have performed better?
Of course. Of course, only that we can't make a definite conclusion because of the substance of the matter.
Because your candidate was not there. I mean, Kenyans really do not have anything to compare with.
And again, when we get to what we would like to see, that's when you understand
what will be happening. So let's do that. Of course, the presidential debate is scheduled for the 24th of this month. That's just about 5-6 days away. And we've already had word from Jubilee that President Uhuru Kenyatta might not be attending. On the 5th of July, it was a consensus, so to speak, between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga, both of whom said they had not been consulted, so they would not be attending this debate. Now, along the way, NASA seems to have ironed things out with the Debate Media Limited, and NASA is now urging President Uhuru Kenyatta to also agree to come for this debate. Arati, what are the dynamics really here? So Raila Odinga has agreed to be part of the debate. Will he come if President Uhuru Kenyatta does not come?
So be it. If Uhuru doesn't appear, I'll request my leader to appear to strip naked Jubilee. Jubilee has to be there to defend his legacy and cheat the Kenyans on the promises they gave them in 4 years, which they've not, fulfilled. They tell us of 10,000 kilometers and how they, they're failing everything. Therefore, I don't know what, even if he'll come, it's the same story. This is a regime which has failed, and they'll give us the promises which they cannot attain because they've not already gotten through with what they had promised the Kenyans.
All right. Of course, Andabwa, this is where you tell us what Third Way Alliance would want to see in the presidential debate. Are you, first of all, planning to participate in this particular debate?
What approach? Are we still looking at the discriminatory tire approach?
What is it the Third Way Alliance would like rectified in this next debate?
Would like to see an opportunity where everybody is given an equal platform. Equal platform, which means that Debates Kenya Limited may want to rethink on the approach in terms of how to carry out this debate. They may decide to do 4-4. That's up to them.
Right.
It's up to them to think about it. Speaking to Jubilee and NASA, anybody can tell you that are you guys campaigning today? Basically, I can tell you what they'll say.
The question is, do you campaign? Where do you campaign? That's the question.
No.
We should ask.
That was not the question. She asked, and I'm responding to her. She's moderating this session. I'll deal with you later. It's rather it's too predictable what these guys will say. And I can imagine Uhuru here, Raila here, really 10 plus 1 million, I don't know, 45 million. You know, it's the same kind of thing. Now, sadly, look at the caliber of panelists that we are engaging as well. I would wish to see a presidential candidate, and when I say presidential, I'm by inference referring to a deputy as well. I would like them to discuss on the critical substance of governance in a country. We are running a devolved system of government which is failing. We've seen the AG reports. We are failing in devolution. Yet we have a devolution ministry which should actually be taking charge of this. We have a president. It's only him who's charged with the mandate of even suspending a county. We've seen things happening left, right, center. Nothing. No, right now, we don't know what measures are in place to deal with the upsurge of terrorism in the country. We are working with neighbors. We are working with the international community. Britain, for instance, has been a core supporter of this. Right now, they are under threat. So what does that mean for our foreign relations? Now, when you give me I don't want to mention personalities here. Some of these people who are better off doing their, let me not describe. Do they meet the substance of running a presidential debate? We're talking manifestos. We're not even asking Jubilee to account for the past manifesto that they've had. They're busy launching documents here, copy and paste documents, telling us the way they are going, they need 5 more years to do what. I mean, let's up our stakes.
All right.
Let it not be another socialite thing. It is not a Twitter debate kind. It's not a Twitter-thon. Let's give this matter the substance that it deserves.
All right. So those are pertinent issues that are being brought up, Arati, in terms of the content or the substance of the debate and the manner in which the candidates are also questioned. But do you agree, first of all, from where he began, that there's really nothing new when you put Jubilee and NASA together on a platform while excluding the other candidates?
You know, there is always a story of a dog, the big dog and the small dogs, which don't have you know, the energy to fight in eating. Therefore, when the big dog is getting its meal, the small ones always back. They think that they are going even to scare the big dog. I want just let my brother know that indeed there is substance in what discussions which will be brought up in the debate. And I want just to indicate clearly that like us in NASA, we have issues to pick with the current regime. And that's why we want to remove them from power. We want to explain how we are going to deal with the corruption. These guys, they are perpetuated properly, you know, and where we are going to get the 60 billion to run the free primary and secondary education, which actually is being stolen by our colleagues here in Jubilee. Therefore, I'm certain that there is, yes, apart from the manifesto, the only way I want, the only thing I want to agree with him is the manifesto thing. Why we are pointing on Jubilee? These are guys who are in office, who have everything, who have told us so many stories over and over their manifesto. They had the first manifesto which they have not accomplished. Here they are telling us there is another one. Therefore, the only thing is that I'll ask my brother, ask your candidate to appear that day, and my presidential candidate will be able to educate them through where we have come from.
Really, as you asked him the question, I'm sure you predicted the response. And there's no surprise. That is what was bound to happen. But even as he speaks corruption, look, and when he talks corruption, I want to link it to, say, the devolved system of government. How many NASA or called ODM counties do we have at the moment? 25. 25, none has met the Auditor General's threshold. Corruption is in all these counties, the 25 that we're talking about. They claim to be able to fight corruption, and that's what they want to address. Yet, even within their own, it is a sad state of affairs. How do you trust that?
So these are the issues. These are the issues that need to be coming up in this particular debate. And I'll come back to you, Ndaba. Arati, do you agree, or are you satisfied with the kind of issues that are being brought up in this debate and the manner in which they're being debated? Are Kenyans getting value for their time in watching these debates?
It's important. People are getting time, value for the time, and even their resources in terms of the media investing in this. Therefore, we expect that there is a lot to be achieved through the debate. Because one-on-one we'd want to really see how these people are reasoning through issues, other than the public rallies, where is full of abuses, full of pride. This is one-on-one, so that we can be able to evaluate them on basis on what they stand for. Unfortunate part of the whole discussion, and I hope that President Uhuru will appear to tell us really what he has told for us as Kenyans.
All right. I want us to move away from this. Of course, we're waiting on this debate. It will be on the 24th of July. NASA has already agreed to be part of this debate and are now challenging Jubilee to be part of this debate. And we also hope that the other presidential candidates, including Third Way Alliance, will be there after issues are ironed out. But let's move on to another issue, which will be determining whether or not we'll really have an election, and that's the issue surrounding the presidential ballot printing papers, which is still in court. The Court of Appeal is expected to give its decision on Thursday this week. As we speak, IEBC has already pointed out about 4 or 5 firms in the UK and South Africa that can do the job in the event the High Court ruling does not go, the Court of Appeal ruling does not go in their favor. It's just 20 days to the elections. Arati, what remains an issue of contention in this row?
Initially, IEBC had shown that it was not interested in identifying another firm. Posing a doubt, what collaboration did it have with the court, or who was advising them? But up to yesterday, I'm seeing there is some steps they have made in terms of looking into firms which were to really do the printing of the presidential ballot papers. But then what happens is that we don't expect that. I've seen, there is another question you may ask later. I've seen that NASA is asking for the backup.
Right. We'll get to that.
Yeah. But indeed, if there is already evidently an election which is a sham, what do you expect? The Dubai-based firm is related with Jubilee top people. The
court found no evidence of that in that same ruling, right?
Yes, they may have not, but the truth is, let it be told that we know Al-Ghrai, through their relatives or what, they collect even rent for some people in Dubai. Therefore, for IBC to have insisted that must go the Dubai-based firm, we were saying it's not IBC, it was Jubilee. Therefore, we only want to point out, we hope that the court is not going to be coerced and scared by the strong words that President Uhuru was posting across and abusing them. That they are indeed now pro-NASA.
Right. I'll come back to you. Andabwa, in this Al Ghurair issue, it's really been, like you say, it's been looked at as a two-horse race. What Jubilee wants IBC to do, what NASA wants IBC to do. Where does the Third Way Alliance stand on this?
Let me just share my disappointment in the so-labeled two big dogs who cannot even put up a case that can withstand judicial interpretation to meet any decisions. And that's why anything that stopped the process was public participation as put forward by Third Way Alliance. Let that be very clear. They go about saying it's NASA. NASA simply went ahead with newspaper cuttings and thought that would be admissible in court. I think they learned from us. But anyway, having said that, I think IBC sits in a very, very tricky spot. Because the truth of the matter is that they want to claim that they can run a free, fair, and credible election, while in real sense they cannot. That issues have been raised about Al Ghurair, they've not been substantiated in court. And when they insisted that they could only work with Al Ghurair, and it so appears that they've reached out to 5 other firms who can actually deliver, even make it worse from where they sit. Look, we have 41,000 polling stations. We've not even agreed on whoever is printing the presidential ballots. We're talking of an electronic voter, the electronic transmission of results, which we've not even piloted. Some of these gadgets have not even been removed from their packaging, and they're supposed to be spread all over. When is this getting done? You sit in the media. What level of voter education have you seen happening? These are things that we must think about. But for sure, where there is anarchy, the two big boys, the two horses, thrive in it. So it is in their interest to sustain that. So between them, there is no matter. As usual, they have no substance. So between the two, there's nothing they're talking about. Read between the lines. It's really nothing.
So where does Third Way Alliance and the other candidates stand in terms of who shows where they should be printed, whether we trust those who print the papers?
I may not speak for other candidates. I'll only speak for Third Way Alliance as a political party. Third Way Alliance simply calls for compliance. All right,
but let me just pause you for a moment. We'll come back to you. It is now about 56 minutes past the hour. We'd like to release our viewers watching us on KTN Home. Life and Style is coming up next. Many thanks for being part of this conversation. For those who want to continue with the conversation, we're continuing right now on KTN News. All right, Andabwa, go on.
Yeah, Third Way Alliance only looks for compliance. We have a legal framework. All these things have been defined. We have the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act. We have the legal framework. We just need guys to comply. When we talk public participation as entrenched within our constitution, let it be there. If I asked you in person, have you looked at the tender document? You don't. I'm sure you've not looked at it. You don't know the validity of the tender. You don't know at what point we can alter this, yet we are the taxpayers.
Right. So as we speak, today is the 18th of July. Today is when Al Ghurair was meant to begin printing the presidential ballot papers. Now, according to IBC's lawyers, while presenting their appeal, this particular appeal to the Court of Appeal, they say if printing does not begin today, we might not have presidential ballot papers on the 8th of August. Arati, in terms of the urgency of time, should the court's ruling uphold Al Ghurair as the printer, will NASA go to the elections?
In the first instance, let us look at it clearly. If you guys, as a standard group, you are given to print, how long will it take? to print
they've spoken about special security features that need to be installed.
That's all right. But you see, these are already set. These are already an institution, and set standards which have to be met. But you see, what happens is that I want to just point out that yes, we may not meet the timelines. 20 days, there are many days, if indeed they were, because we are talking of, there are other candidates, there are cases in court. Actually, people they have not cleared from the courts at the level of MCA, members of parliament. Therefore, they can tell us that there is a provision in the law to enable all these people to be accommodated in printing. But then the trick part of it is that they'll use this one as just an excuse not for us to go into an election. And as I want to agree with my brother here, that these guys, they are not ready, they are not prepared to carry out the elections, the IBC. But we want to tell them, yes, Kenyans are eager, they are waiting for them to, to provide those materials to go for an election on 8th this year. That is August. But it will be unfortunate for us if we won't have an election on 8th, because the law will have been lost.
Right, and many, of course, even constitutional experts say that is not even an option. We must go to the elections on the 8th of August. So the question remains, what solutions will NASA agree to?
My brother said, it's the Constitution. There is no another way to navigate around this business. The law has to be followed.
Right.
We have to respect the law.
Okay, so we're talking about 20 days to the elections, ballot printing papers for the presidential position not yet done, but as we speak, NASA has thrown another spanner into the works, with Raila Odinga saying they will boycott the elections if there is no backup to the electronic system. This is a conversation that we've had before, a conversation that should have been resolved by now. Where do we stand on this, Arati?
It's late, yes. But what do we stand for? We must stand for what the Constitution or the law requires of us as a country. If indeed we'll go into the direction that of our will, of an institution, of a party, we don't respect the laws. Therefore, why are we going for an election?
Right. Let me just indulge and dabble for a moment. In terms of the electronic system that is being talked about, are you confident in that system? And are you confident that there is backup for that system, first of all?
I'm confident that the system could be available. The sad thing is that, these gadgets, unless you've piloted, unless you've had a run, then you're only anticipating some challenges which may come. Now, if you can recall a while ago, the same big boys had their theatrics in Parliament of manual vote tallying and all that. And you remember they even hurt each other. But these things, I believe, are very well choreographed. Okay. So I'm not confident that the two are best placed to deal with the matter. Status quo works very well for them. If IBC wants to be very, very fair to themselves and to Kenyans, an admission of unpreparedness is not bad. After all, we agree that a lot of time was eaten into whatever they needed to have been done. And it's not bad to start thinking about the implications of not having an election on the 8th.
Right.
If you're talking transitional government, if you're talking committee, whatever it is, and again, agreeing with my brother Simba here, whatever the law provides for, we should now try to look at the implications of going that direction. But honestly, in my view, if we insist on having a general election on the 8th, the same way we had our shambolic primaries, we are going to have a shambolic general election.
Do you agree with that view, Arati, especially considering that there's so many issues that are yet to be ironed out? First of all, what is NASA's issue with the electronic system?
I want to agree with my brother. These gadgets, you remember even the last election, there were machines which were not even removed from the boxes. It's a repeat of actually what happened in 2013. Therefore, either it is intentional that these gentlemen, they want to fail the system intentionally, because if they have not even tested the gadgets, they will come that day, they say, some they have not worked, some they have not been programmed properly. Therefore, and it has, why do we have to say this? There has been no public participation. For us to verify, yes, these machines, they're working. It's only 20 days to an election. How do you expect the Kenyans to take you around that you are not ready to, you're not agents of stealing election? And another gentleman around from the security docket is acting, telling us that there will be police all over. We told him, let there be police, but let there be peace. And, we expect, if there is peace, if there is, transparent, credible election, there will be peace. If you intend to carry out a symbolic election, nobody will give you peace. And believe you play from wherever corners that of this. And
that is a narrative that seems to be gaining a lot of traction, that for peace we must have credible elections, we must have transparent elections. It is now 20 days to the elections, and many of these things and processes don't seem to be laid out. What in your view, Andabo, are some of the key issues as a country we need to prioritize ahead of the elections?
We need to prioritize the place of IEBC. Whether we like it or not, the only peace guarantor in this matter is the IEBC. It's just that.
All right. So this is the honors of the IEBC. Many say we're putting a lot of pressure here. We're not giving them the right environment to work. Arati, IEBC, are you confident then, if the onus is on them, to have the act together in 20 days?
Yeah. Within I believe that people who are put there, chairman with his team, they're able to work around the clock to give us a credible election. We will not ask anything more than what we expect from them as the law is required. So the only plea we want to put across to IBC, that within 20 days, yes, within 10 days they can do a miracle. If they have the miracle, because they are now the engineers.
Now, even as this continues, and as we wind up, political tensions are rising in the country. There's been a lot of talk as to the political volatility ahead of the general elections. We've seen the police service really gear up and arm up and stock up on anti-riot gear, very heavy anti-riot gear for that matter. But how do you think, Andabwa, we need to address this issue of rising tension? Because we're trying to avoid the 2007-2008 situation.
If we had a responsive and responsible government, the government would by now know what triggers these tensions. When you bring in all these tankers and you're really trying to show heavy police presence in a politically charged environment, what do you expect? When you have that responsibility of developing a unified Kenyan state, a unified nation as Kenya, but you go out there spewing vitriol, throwing hate words all over in your capacity, do you expect Kenyans to gel as one? Impossible. And that's why I told you from the onset. And by the way, these guys are smart. They're smart. They know the game. It is the game that they are playing. Right now, that we are in this crisis, instead of putting their heads together to see how we are coming out of this, it's really pretending to be creating this pressure and chest thumping. It is so deliberate. We have a way out. We just don't have the goodwill
to get out. Yeah.
I wish that Matiang'i, who is now the acting CS in Interior, would divert the whole money they have put in place to fight the Kenyans, to educate them on the importance of having peaceful election. That would have helped the country. But this business of Uhuru going out of the country, spending a lot of money, tankers, police, tear gas. Sorry for the late Nkaiseri, who said we have enough tear gas. Not tear gas would give them victory. What we are saying is that this money would have been spent properly by educating the Kenyans.
Right.
those hotspots they're talking about, they would have engaged so many institutions in educating the Kenyans.
Right. But civil education can only do so much. Most of it lies even on the leaders themselves, and you mentioned this, Ndabwa. So that's not just the honors of the Jubilee government or the Jubilee party, it's across the political divide.
But we want, who is in control of the systems, who want to show us that is might. Show to the Somalis that you have the might. You are unable. These guys, they have even procured, fake armory vehicles which are being blown with explosives, killing our own soldiers, and they want to pretend to now they have the old machineries to run around the elections. It's a system which is rotten, which is dead. We must remove from power.
All right.
And then you can imagine the place of the opposition within parliament that should actually be having these committees to scrutinize such procurement, is what we are calling the opposition.
Right.
And these are the big
I want to correct my brother here, that we don't do procurement. Parliament doesn't do procurement. And another thing,
I talked to committees to look into those.
You know very well that the only ministry which is not audited is the Minister of the Interior. And it's to the extent that is the one which receives the highest allocation in terms of money.
The auditor,
all right, I'll give you the final word, Ndabwa.
Okay. Let me say this. Simba, please look through your Auditor General's reports, and including the military goes through the audits. Okay, including your own military goes through the audits. And the Auditor General's reports are presented to you guys, you parliamentarians, and the process after that. Anyway, what I want to say is that I would wish a place for Kenyans to really think through, ask these difficult questions. Kenyans to stop what I want to call mediocrity, euphoria, popularity. Elections are not a popularity contest.
All right. All right.
Let's stop this mediocrity of following somebody because he has a big car. Let's address these issues. Let's ask difficult questions.
That's a good point to end the political point. Many thanks, gentlemen. We've been speaking to Eugene Ndabwa, who is the Deputy Chair of the Third Way Alliance Party, as well as Simba Arati, who is the Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, also seeking re-election constituency. That brings us to a close on the political point. It is now 9 minutes past the hour. We'll take another short break on Morning Express. Do stay with us. The show isn't over yet. We have more news and making headlines coming up.